and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Jennifer Kirk.
And I'm Dave Leese, and tonight we're super excited to be speaking with three-time national champion, Grand Prix final champion, 2010 Olympian, fan favorite, and everyone's pick for the 2014 Paul Wiley moment, Jeremy Abbott.
Yes, Dave and I are huge fans of Jeremy skating, and he's coming off a bit of a rocky season. He failed to make the world team, saw him stumble a bit in April at the World Team Trophy, so we're going to ask him about that and his goals and his outlook heading into this very important season. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for being a guest on the skating lesson. Dave and I are huge fans of your skating. So we want to start with a very serious question. We've been following you on Twitter for a while, Rabbit. We're big fans of your tweets. So we want to know, what is your favorite order at Chipotle?
My favorite order at Chipotle?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I can't order it anymore. So I usually get like a chicken or a steak bowl with brown rice, the vegetables, tomatoes, corn, and cheese.
Are you one of those toppings? You like to throw all the toppings in?
No, I mean, like, ideally I would get like a steak burrito with like guacamole and everything, but I was told that the tortillas and everything I'm not allowed to eat anymore.
Oh, that's no fun.
I know, nutritionists and stuff.
Oh, man.
The wet towel.
All right, well, you recently delighted fans when you announced that you'd be returning to your Exogenesis Long program for the upcoming Olympic season. What made you decide to return to this program?
I was thinking about what I wanted to do next season, and it came on my iPod on shuffle, and I just had such a strong reaction to it. I love the music so much, and I have such a deep connection with it. And when you get shivers from a piece of music, it's something you have to use. And I had said after the 2012 season that I would potentially come back to it for this season. And so kind of when I was listening to it and I had that reaction, I was like, this is a must. I have to do it.
Well, you've worked with a number of gifted choreographers throughout the years. So why did you choose to start choreographing your own programs, and what is that process like?
It's pretty easy because I have Yuka to kind of guide me and make sure that I don't get too crazy or that things start to look too much the same. I guess I started kind of choreographing my exhibition pieces maybe the 2 seasons prior, and with Yuka's help, and it was a very comfortable process, and the programs are very they were easy. I mean, not easy, but they were easy in a way that it just kind of came naturally, and the flow of the programs and everything kind of went really well. So when it kind of came to it, I decided that I wanted to work with Yuka to create a program, and it worked seamlessly like the previous ones had.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've seen you continue to work with choreographers for your short programs. We saw you work with Benji Schwimmer in the past and other choreographers from the dance world. So we recently saw your pictures working with Robin Cousins. How did this come about, and what was it like?
Well, I wanted to work with Robin because he's basically, I started skating after I saw him perform. And this is, he's kind of been an inspiration, and this being my last competitive season, I just really wanted to bring it all full circle and, kind of end with the reason I started and, work with someone who is really like purely skating. I mean, he's gorgeous to watch, and, I was hoping that I could gain a little bit of knowledge from an Olympic champion.
So what can you tell us about the program?
Well, it's we got the idea basically from we wanted to kind of do a slight homage to Gene Kelly. So it's a lot of like footwork, and the music's very upbeat. It's a lot of fun, and it's really exciting. And I don't think I can tell you what the music is because I'm supposed to like officially announce it or whatever, but it's it's a lot of fun. It's really upbeat, and I hope it's entertaining.
Jeremy, you're coming off a bit of a rocky season. We recently saw you at the World Team Trophy where the U.S. won the team event, but you struggled a bit in the men's event. So why did you choose to compete at that competition? How important was it for you? And what is your critique of your performances?
I I was training for Worlds just in case, because being the first alternate, and things since Nationals had improved a lot. So I kind of wanted to do one last competition. I didn't feel like my season was over. I felt like I was still building, and I wanted to do one last competition just to end the season, because you never want to kind of end things that way. And training was going really well prior, so I was really excited that they had asked me. And honestly, it was not great performances, but there was a lot of little things that I took away from it. Um, it was definitely, I felt that there were a lot of improvements from Nationals in terms of the programs themselves, the levels, and stuff like that. And we learned, we changed a lot to learn more about this season, because when they changed the requirements for the spin levels, I kind of struggled with that last season.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard for me to find spins that worked for me. And so we changed them, and we got a lot of good feedback at the competition, and so hopefully that's not an issue this season. And a lot of good, just like mental things, working with my sports psychologist. When I talked to her afterwards, I was really aware of kind of what was going on and where I was mentally, and where my focus was at. And it did, even though it wasn't a great competition, it gave me a lot of confidence heading into this season.
Well, you talk about working with a sports psychologist. When did that relationship begin?
I've been working with Dr. Caroline Silby for maybe 3 years now.
Oh, great.
I started working with her like right before Nationals in Greensboro.
Right. Well, in Japan at the World Team Trophy, we saw you miss the quad. How important do you think it is that you have the quad in your short and your long program this season to be on the podium in Sochi? And do you plan on doing it in both your programs?
It's absolutely necessary. Like, I think everyone was kind of saying that before Vancouver, but you look at who's doing it now, and the depth of field is so much greater in terms of who can do the quad as well as create a performance. So it's absolutely necessary. I think the podium in Vancouver, it's going to be 3 men who do the quad in both programs, if not more than one.
Well, we've seen you land such gorgeous, powerful quads in the past, but you seem to struggle with them this past season. So what do you think the cause of your inconsistency was this past season with the quad?
I was fat.
You're not fat.
No, I'm totally joking. I was actually, like, in the last off season, I gained probably like 7 pounds. And although I was like physically fit and in shape, and doing my workouts and everything, like eating well, usually like when I start to train run throughs, I mean, I'm sure like you just start to lose weight and it's not a problem, but that never happened. And as I'm getting older, I'm finding that I have to change my diet and the way I go about things, because my metabolism doesn't work the same. So it's kind of like a whole different game, but that really contributed to a lot. Like, I really struggled with my jumps because I just couldn't manage to get back to where I'm comfortable jumping. So I never felt like I could quite get the spring that I would normally have.
Interesting.
Now, during a performance, if you miss the quad, how much does that affect you mentally?
It doesn't. Like, we kind of try to separate it out in practice, so that it's like you have the one element and then there's the rest of the program. So whether you do it or you don't, there's still 8 triples to go, and literally like 4.5 minutes. So it's really it's the beginning of the program, and whatever happens past that, like whatever happens, the program kind of starts beyond that.
So we saw you struggle at the 2013 National Championships, which you mentioned earlier, placing third and just missing the world team. After Skate America, you announced that you had a compressed disc in your lower back, which was producing some nerve problems in your legs. Was that injury still a problem at Nationals? And when did you first start experiencing that pain?
Uh, I've had back trouble for a long time. And the pain kind of comes and goes. And so before Skate America, I was having a bit of pain, but it was nothing like abnormal, nothing that I couldn't train through. And when I got there, I was working with the physio that was there, and he was trying to kind of MacGyver me into shape. But it was during my long program. I was really well, like I was physically very in shape. I was having no trouble getting through the run-throughs at home, even like on the practices there. And then about a minute and 30 seconds into my program, my legs just gave out and I had nothing. And I've never experienced that before ever. So I was like really kind of panicked and scared. And like when I got off the ice, I immediately I went to the doctor, and it wasn't cute. So he was. The physio kind of diagnosed it, and then I came back and went to see a doctor here, one of the doctors that works for USA Gymnastics, or with the US Gymnastics team, and he pretty much told me the same thing. And he's been fantastic. I've seen him a few times, like as needed, and he's close with my athletic trainer, so she's come with me to a bunch of appointments, and what he's kind of told her we take home and work. But he did adjustments and kinesio tape, and he's really been fantastic, and he's really kind of he kind of saved my season, I think. So I'm really grateful that I was able to go work with him, and that we've been able to kind of carry that over at home.
Well, at Skate America, you also told Andrea Joyce that you needed to address your nutrition. So what did you mean by that? You talked about it a little bit earlier. Was that when you decided to start working with a nutritionist, and what changes have you made?
I can't remember that far back. I really have changed a lot. Like I'm eating more like complex carbohydrates, like fruits and vegetables, and less pastas, breads, tortillas, and more like whole grains. I eat a lot of quinoa. And just chicken, like plain. So it's kind of my diet's really boring, but I actually kind of enjoy it. I've become a huge fan of sriracha, and I put it on everything. So at
Me
least,
too.
at least
It's so
that.
good.
It's so good.
Sriracha and soy sauce. Oh my gosh, yeah. So good. More spicy, the better. So in 2010 at Nationals, we saw you skate two of the strongest performances of your career to defend your national title and to win a berth on your first Olympic team. Yet a month later at the Olympics, you struggled a bit, placing 10th. And this kind of seems to be a theme throughout your career since the 2009 season, where you'll have a really strong skate at an event, but that momentum doesn't so much carry to the next competition. So why do you think that is? You're undoubtedly one of the most talented men in the world. So what do you think it is that's kept you from that world podium?
I think it's kind of a number of things. The Olympic season, especially, I really set my goals on making the Olympic team. Like that was my goal. I moved to Detroit, and I was so like single-mindedly, I have to make the Olympic team. And so I certainly wasn't expecting to skate like that at Nationals, and I did that, and I achieved my goal, but I hadn't set goals beyond that. Like I hadn't set goals, okay, well, if I make the team, then what happens? Like, so in my mind, I had already achieved the goal, and then I have like so many people coming up to me telling me like, if you skate exactly like that, you're going to be Olympic champion. And it's like in my mind, I'm like, oh crap, like I didn't even think to be Olympic champion. And so I'm, pretty much like scared out of my mind. And the 3 weeks from Nationals to Olympics, my training just completely imploded, and my confidence was gone. And I wasn't prepared to leave at all, like mentally. So there was that. But I have to say, like last season heading into Nice, I was so ready to stand on that podium. I was training fantastic, and honestly, I still I I've talked about it a bunch with Caroline, and I still don't even know like what happened there. Um, but you know, there's always a time to break a cycle and to break habits. So this is the best time to do it.
I couldn't agree more. Well, you talk about working with Dr. Silby. So, what specifically do you and she work on as you start to look ahead to a really important season, your final season? You talked about your competitive season. I'm sure you're feeling the pressure. So, starting in June or whatnot, what are you and she work on as you look ahead to Sochi?
Uh, just planning. We've started to kind of just plan very skeletal, just kind of how to go about training, and you know, to really use this the the last season like looming over my head is just as motivation. I'm really excited. I leave on vacation Saturday. I get 2 weeks off, but like I'm just so excited to start this season and to start training and just put everything into it. Like, you know, this year there's nothing. It's really it's do or die. So I want to use that and put everything I have into the season and make no excuses and leave nothing out, and you know, like not even like, you know, after a long day of training it's like, well, maybe I'll just work out tomorrow or something like that. Like, not let any of that happen. Like, everything has to be done when it's supposed to be done and not let anything slip through the cracks, because there can't be that room.
So speaking of the psychological aspect of skating, we often see skaters paste on a big fake smile as they skate to center ice, yet we see you get very serious right before your music starts whenever you're competing. What is it that you're saying to yourself at that moment?
Um, Usually it's just kind of like small reminders from training, just small things to focus on, reminding myself of what the goals I set for that competition are, um, and then really just kind of getting in the headspace to make a performance. So it depends on kind of the program. Like, before the swing program, I usually went out more with a big smile on my face and a little bit of swagger. And before the spy program was a little more like serious and mysterious. And Bring Him Home and Muse were much more somber and subdued.
So you mentioned your off-ice training. Some skaters swear by Pilates. Caitlin Yankowskis told us she's addicted to Bikram yoga. What do you do off the ice?
Um, I work with a trainer that I used to work with at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, who's now actually one of the coaches at University of Michigan, and he sets up my whole off ice routine. So it's a lot of uh, cardio and intervals and plyometrics and weight training, and we've added like a lot of like core and back stabilization, and a lot of like a lot of like movement exercises to create bigger range of motion, and increase flexibility while increasing strength. And I also have recently gotten into Bikram yoga. I do enjoy it quite a lot.
As do I.
I'm not a fan. I don't like to sweat. Well, during my career, I trained with a number of coaches and skaters, and everybody had a different philosophy when it came to run-throughs. Some of my former coaches, they wanted me to do double, triple run-throughs, whereas others would say you just have one short and one long program a day to do, and the pressure's on. That's your time. So how hands-on are you when it comes to your daily training, and what is your philosophy in terms of run-throughs?
We do one short and one long every day, and lots of sections. Training tons of sections, and usually the closer that it gets to competition, it'll be like maybe a long program and a half. So you'll do like the full run of the long, and then go back to like the midway point and do the second half, or start with the second half and then take a break and do the program. but it's definitely at least one full run of each a day. There are some times where if I didn't feel like I accomplished what I wanted to, I'll ask for permission to do another one. Because I really like Yuka's a great coach, and she usually has very good instincts. And you know, if she feels that I need more for the next day, she'll tell me no. Or if she feels that it's acceptable, she'll let me do another one. But you know, it's about kind of like conserving energy and putting everything into the first time and doing what you can for that day.
Sounds really smart. In 2011, when you missed the world team, you said it really motivated you to win back your national title in 2012. So heading into your final competitive season, how do you plan on winning back your national title, and what are your goals for this season?
My goals this season are really to be more consistent in training, and to build confidence each day, heading into the national championships. And you know, it would be incredible for me to win a fourth title, and I absolutely believe it's within my power to do so. I think I'd be the 11th person or man to win 4 titles or something like that. So you know, it'd be a huge honor to be in the likes of Scott Hamilton and Brian Boitano, and Dick Button, etc. But it's most important to be on the Olympic team, and you know, I want to come away from Sochi with the hardware. I want to come back home with a medal around my neck and nothing less.
Well, Paul Wiley famously had that moment of his career at the 1992 Olympic Games, and he was thought of as an underdog in the way that many view you in the skating world. So, what's the biggest thing do you think that you can do between now and Sochi to make that dream a reality?
It's all about the work. Just putting everything I have on the ice and off the ice, and like I said, not letting anything slip through the cracks, not making any excuses, you know, not being too tired to do something, but really just like putting it all out there. And I think that's all you can ask of yourself is to really just is to put 100% of yourself in to something, and not let anything like that happen. And you know, I think at the end of the day, like that will be the biggest reward, and that will pay off the biggest dividends.
Well, you are such a fan favorite, and I'm sure skating fans want nothing more than to see you perform for years to come. We've also enjoyed your efforts as a choreographer. Have you thought about life after 2014?
You know, I would love to tour and perform for as long as I could. It's what I love. It's what I love about the sport. I love to perform, and I love kind of creating different worlds for the audience and kind of bringing them into that. So honestly, like that's what I want to do. I want to tour, and I want to perform, and I want to do shows for as long as possible. It's kind of unfortunate that the skating show in the U.S. has kind of gone on the wayside. But there's lots of work in Asia and Europe, so hopefully they'll want me. And hopefully, you know, I would love to see a resurgence of skating in the U.S. Like, we have such a strong history of it, and it'd be amazing to see stars or champions or something come back really strong and have a big following.
I think Dave and I echo that sentiment. It's wonderful. Well, we wish you the best of luck this season, Jeremy. We're going to be following you. Hopefully you'll come back on the show in the coming months. And thank you so much for giving us your time today and talking to us.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.